Are you hungry?
Give me something good.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Görgött. Today we're making one of my favorite Indian dishes. We're making butter chicken, and with that we're serving some garlic naan bread. But before we have a look at the ingredients, because there's quite a lot today, if you're not supporting the channel yet, please do so by clicking the subscribe button and checking the bell icon. It really helps me to get my message out there. So subscribe, check the bell icon. But now let's have a look at all the ingredients. As you can see, there's so many that I don't fit them on the top camera. So I will show you these first. That's our chicken, and it's already pre-marinated, and I'll show you how I did that marinade. We have our wonderful chicken thighs here. Now, I've shown you this probably many times. Always when I cook something with chicken, I take thighs. In this case, we remove the skin and we cut them in strips, about probably a centimeter wide. Here we have some Kashmiri chili powder. It's about 2 tablespoons. We have a tablespoon of grated chili, a tablespoon of grated garlic, and almost a tablespoon of salt. And that's how we're going to marinate our chicken. So we just scrape all of that in here. And then we just massage this into our chicken. And the Kashmiri chili powder, it reminds me a bit about kind of smoked paprika powder, but with the heat of chili. It's a very nice spice, I think. And it gives also a nice kind of red color. That's perfect. Now we leave it to stand. Ideally, an hour and a half, but if you press for time, 20 minutes to half an hour is enough as well. But we will leave this for, an hour and a half. So relatively simple. There are recipes out there that add yogurt and things to the marinade. You can do that if you want to, but I keep it straightforward. It's ginger, garlic, Kashmiri chili powder, and some salt. So we'll put them away and we'll look at the rest. Now on top of what we have here on the board, we also have something in the oven already. So I'll take that out and show you. We have some beautiful naan bread. I hope you can see it in the top camera. It's just keeping warm in the oven until we're ready to serve it. And to go with that naan bread, we've done a mix of butter, garlic, and salt that we're then going to brush on top of the naan just before we serve everything. So that's what's hidden in the oven. And did I already tell you that I'll show you how to do it? If not, let's look at how we did it. What you see here is the ingredients we need for our naan bread. We're making kind of a garlic naan. So on this side we have the butter and the garlic. We're just going to melt the butter with the garlic, add a bit of salt to it, and then afterwards we will brush the bread with that. But for the naan itself, for the dough, we need 500 grams of plain flour, 180 grams of yogurt, plain, 60 milliliters of water, 180 milliliters of milk, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of oil, and mixed in here is already 2 teaspoons of dry yeast and 1 teaspoon of sugar. So we'll put this to the side and we'll mix this in bigger bowls. So we'll start with the water. And with the water we'll mix the yeast and the sugar. And now we'll mix that up and we're going to let it stand for 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll just whisk this up. It's important that the water is not ice cold. It should be lukewarm, like finger warm. And the sugar is there to give some nutrition to the yeast. The yeast likes sugar. So we'll let that stand to the side. Take another large bowl, put the flour in. Put the milk and yogurt to the side. We can put the salt in as well. So we have our mix of dry ingredients and wet ingredients. I'll see in about 5 minutes when this is ready. And while we wait for the yeast to work, we can put our
I need my hands. Butter and garlic in a small pan. Add a good pinch of salt. And now we can grab this and put it on the stove. You just want to melt the butter and let the butter soak up all the flavor of the garlic and the salt. Now our yeast has been allowed to kind of mature or work for about 8 minutes. We add it to the flour and the salt. We also add in the 180 milliliters of milk, the 2 tablespoons of oil, and our 180 grams of yogurt. Now we mix all of this together. It's easier with a wooden spoon at the beginning, but then the easiest is your hands. Once it's come together to a dough, we'll take that out on a floured surface. And now we'll work this together, knead it for about, until it comes together to a dough. Will take a couple of minutes. So I'll see you once that's done. So we're ready with our dough. We're just gonna let it raise now. Put it in a bowl, a bit of oil in the bowl so that it doesn't stick. And now we let it double in size, depending on the outside temperature. I think today it might take an hour and a half. And while we did the kneading, oops, that's hot. We melted our butter. So we made our garlic butter. There's garlic and salt in there. And this you can just keep warm, either in the oven at the low temperature or at like number 1 on the stove. So I'll see you in about an hour and a half and we're ready to continue. Now our naan dough has risen nicely. Oh, there's a little bit of a hair on that one. See if we can get that off. There we go. So we flour the surface again. And we get the dough out. Now we portion it. This should be enough for 8 portions about. You don't have to be too exact, because I think naan breads are nicest when you can tell that they're kind of made with your hands. We'll get one out. And you can do this with, what do you call it, a rolling pin, but I think it's much nicer to do it by hand. And in the background, you can see the big frying pan. Nothing in there, just some heat. And that's where we're gonna bake the bread. And in order for the timing, I'll put the oven on 50 degrees. Well, it's been on 50 degrees for a while because I have the garlic butter in there. So once we fry the naan, we'll just put the bread in the oven at 50 degrees to keep them warm. Then just before we serve it, we will put on the garlic butter. Thin enough now. Let's see if the pan is hot enough. It needs a minute or two. In the meantime, we can make some more of these. But I'll see you once the pan is hot enough. So the pan is hot enough now. Put that in. It will take probably 1.5 to 2 minutes. I will show you in that camera. When it has nice bubbles, we'll turn it. And in the meantime, you can continue to prepare the others. So you have a bubble there, but the pan wasn't really hot enough for the first one, but we'll turn it. This is ready now. We'll just keep it in a towel to keep it moist. And we'll put it in the oven to keep it warm. So do all your naan bread, keep them ready for when we serve it. Perfect, so now to the board. The naan is quite simple. You need a bit of time to let the dough rise, but that's it. It's tomato season, so I thought, what can I make with tomato? And obviously you can make a sugo, and maybe I'll do that in a future episode. But I decided to go for butter chicken. It needs a lot of tomatoes, and I really enjoy eating it. So we have some pilati here, well, quite a lot of it, roughly cut. We have some onion, also roughly cut. Now, roughly cut because we're gonna mix everything together with a mixer afterwards. So it's gonna kind of make it small anyway, so you don't have to worry too much about how you cut things. We have 100 grams of butter. We have about 4 tablespoons of vinegar. This is malt vinegar. We have some fenugreek leaves. We have some more Kashmiri chili powder. That's about 4 tablespoons. We have 3 tablespoons of sugar. I would say it's probably 3 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of Garam Masala. Now, as always, this is just a starting point. You have to taste it afterwards and see if you need to add certain things. In addition to that, similar to what we marinated the chicken in, we have some grated garlic and some grated ginger, and we have some cashew nuts. It's about 50 grams of cashew nuts. I would say it's probably a tablespoon of each ginger and garlic. And we're going to cook everything there. We're going to cook everything in one pan. We'll start by frying off the chicken. Then we'll keep the chicken warm in the oven as well. We'll make the butter sauce that goes with the chicken. And then we'll put the chicken back in, and then we're going to be ready to serve. So let's move over there. So we need a little bit of oil. And for the amount of chicken we have, we're probably going to need to fry this in 2 batches. So I think we're good to go. Put half of the chicken in. And don't worry too much about it sticking to the pot or the pan, because we're going to make the sauce in this as well. So all the good stuff is going to be absorbed by the sauce afterwards. A beautiful smell. And also don't worry too much about that every piece is cooked through, because it will cook again in the sauce. Obviously you don't want it completely raw, so you don't have to worry too much about it. So this is ready. We'll put this to the side now. We'll do the second batch, and then we'll start with the sauce. So I will see you when we start with the sauce. Now we're going with a little bit more oil and our onions. Gonna sweat this off before we add the tomatoes. And to this we can also add our cashews, our garlic, and our ginger paste. Our onions are nice and glossy, almost a bit translucent. It's time to add our tomatoes. Let's see if we can manage all at the same time, or if we need to. As this cooks down, they're going to disintegrate and they're going to take a lot less space. So we just need to give this a little bit of time. With hindsight, I should probably have chosen a bigger pan. We'll just have to be careful when we turn this, mix in the onions with the tomatoes. And now we just leave this for at least 15 minutes to kind of reduce, get all the tomatoes in there. I'll see you in about 15 minutes. So basically all the tomatoes are soft and nicely cooked. We have our mixer. Now we're going to go in and mix. And this will take a while because you need to mix everything properly. And we want everything to be very finely mixed, so do this for a couple of minutes. So So I would say we are there. Now we just need to strain this. So I will see you once this is strained. So we pass this through now. Make sure you press out as much as you can so that you don't have much left. Now we add our spices. The Kashmiri chili powder, the Garam Masala, the sugar and the salt. And we add our vinegar. We go in with our butter. Mix this well. And there was one ingredient that I forgot to show you on the board, but that's kind of essential to this dish. That's cream. I forgot the cream in the fridge. So we will add a bit of cream to this as well. Mix this all together and let it reduce. So maybe give it 10 minutes or so. Now we reduced it a bit. It's time to see if we're happy with the flavors. Needs a bit more salt. And a little bit more of the malt vinegar. Let's see where we stand. That's perfect. Let it reduce a little bit more, and then we add the last things, which is the chicken and the fenugreek leaves. I think we're there. Beautiful, velvety, smooth, nice butter sauce for our butter chicken. Now we can remove the whisk and we add our chicken. That's why I want to remove it, because it just gets stuck. We'll get our trusted friend back. And now all you want to do is just basically warm up the chicken. We'll also add our fenugreek leaves. We'll save a little bit for when we serve it up. Now, I've done this with fenugreek powder before, because it's quite difficult to find fenugreek leaves sometimes. But it is much better with the proper leaves. The fenugreek powder has a bit of a bitterness to it that the leaves don't have. So, and we're basically ready to serve this up. We have our butter chicken, we have our garlic butter, and we have our naan bread. Now, before we serve this up, if you stuck with me this far, there must have been something you enjoyed about this episode. So do me the favor, hit that thumbs up button. It's just down there. You just need to click on it. And it really helps me to kind of spread the Görgött gospel and reach a wider audience on YouTube. So thank you for your support. Now, let's plate this up. Now, normally, what I would do is to put this in the middle of the table with a basket of naan bread. But for you, we'll make a portion size. So we start with the butter chicken. And we can get this out of the way, like so. Now we can put this on this plate here. Now let's get some naan bread going. Get a lot of nice garlic butter on there. If you don't like garlic, at least use just butter, because it makes it so much more moist and nice. And we add that to the side there. I will add one more. The rest, as always, is for the family, who, by the way, also loves butter chicken. It's not a low-calorie dish, this, but sometimes we need a bit of calories in our lives, right? Let's get this out of the way. Now well, let's do the cream first. And last but not least, some fenugreek seeds. Now, if you have coriander, I didn't have that at home today. I would also chop some coriander and kind of spread over the naan bread. It makes a really good taste. Now, let's dig in. Now, my favorite way to eat this is to just kind of pull pieces of naan bread and then dip it. This is so good. And just continue like this until there's no butter chicken left or no naan bread left. Even get some chicken in there. It's so perverse. Oh, it's perverse how good it is. How much comfort food it is. If you don't know butter chicken, give this a try. If you know butter chicken but never made it, give this a try. You're not going to regret it. It's like up there in the top 50 of best comfort foods in the world, I think. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Now I'm going to continue finishing this. And all I've asked of you is, if you're not supporting the channel yet, hit the subscribe, check the bell icon, and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Take care until next time. Bye-bye.